Night falls, and the magic of words is burning firefly-like in the darkness. I'm the gargoyle, your host for this evening session. Coming up in the darkness, I will be reading the word of Alan Jessup. So sit back and enjoy. And as always, the focus is on the words, never on the person behind the camera. And if you like this video, please consider subscribing, ringing that bell, and commenting below. I am the gargoyle, your reader on the ledge. Whispers of the Fallen Rose, a story of the shattered night by Alan Jessup, Part 1. If there's one thing I've learned watching movies, it's that it always rains at funerals, or at least overcast. Something to do with metaphors, I think. The hero has fallen, so even the sky weeps. Some shit like that. Hear that, birds? Show some respect. Meredith Delaney's was a hero. The papers said all the same things. Heiress worth billions turned aside from her family fortune to work as a drug abuse counselor at a cash-strapped mental facility. Spent most of her free time down the road at a homeless shelter, working pro bono. And the papers didn't even know about the monster she killed. All those years ago. Not truly, they didn't. Sarah, Meredith's oldest daughter, stands up. For a moment, she was Meredith. She looks like she did so much. Her dress was more conservative than Meredith preferred back then, but that's expected today. She was due to start college in the fall. Meredith was proud in her letters. Sarah hadn't slain a monster yet like her mother. Another point of pride. She hugs her father and younger sister in turn, then walks up to the podium and faces us. I stayed in the back of the church. Just another faceless slob, come out to make sure her family was coping. I look for the tattoos the letters warned about. Red and green tribal tattoos on Sarah's arms and legs. The same tattoos Riza always drew on her Christmas lady. Too far back, can't see them. As a kid, she began, her voice somehow still steady. I asked my mom why Auntie Sheila and Grandpa were so rich, with ponies and homes just for the summer, but we lived in a small apartment just outside the city. It didn't make sense to me. Her answer, that her job didn't pay as well as Grandpa and Aunt Sheila's, didn't make sense either. Why didn't she get a different job? And Mom looked me in the eyes and said words I'll never forget. You see, Sarah Riza Delaney's, there are some jobs you don't do for the money or fancy cars. Some things you do because they're important, because people need them done, and that is worth more than all the fancy homes and ponies in the world. I didn't believe her, of course. What 7-year-old believes there are things more important than ponies? The crowd laughs at that, and Sarah keeps talking. I can't hear her. Riza, her middle name is Riza. I glare at the coffin. Though the anger is gone almost immediately. You should have told me. Everyone around me stood and began getting in line to pay their final respects. Taking a swig from my battered flask, I stashed it and picked up the black rose I brought with me. Shaggy brown hair blocked my vision for a moment. Needed a haircut. Might get one after this. Sure, why not? Good haircut to clean away the desecration. What I had to do next, well, had to be. Period. Whether I liked it or not was unimportant. As I reached her coffin, her simple beauty and strength made me pause. Even without the soul, Her body still seemed to radiate a quiet resolve. My vision blurs as I see her again, as the teenage psyche assistant she once was. She's standing between me and a monster in human flesh, an avenging angel screaming in rage and emptying my sister Riza's pistol into the beast. Kneeling and crossing myself in quick succession, I whispered to the corpse of my fallen hero, "This ain't you. I know that. I'm sorry. You deserved better." With that, I laid the rose across her left breast, pinning it to her blouse, and the white rose her husband had placed. With that, I fled. No one here knew me, so no point in hanging around and remembering her. Remembering is for normal, good people. Besides, I needed a haircut. Part 2. It's raining as I walk through the graveyard. Day late rain. My thin coat isn't great protection against the rain, but it's something. My duffel, heavy with supplies, and my rifle is waterproof. That's the important thing. Can't risk a maid at the hotel finding it. I can suffer a bit as long as it's safe. Meredith's grave is in front of me. She's in it now. They laid her to rest last night. Still waiting on the crew to finish covering the hole. Well now, I thought that was you. The old man's voice snaps me out of my thoughts. His hair, what remains, is wispy and white. He used to tell stories about working on the family farm as a kid. Still has the build to prove it decades later. The sleeves of his coat and shirt extend far past his wrists. An old practice meant to hide the tattoos covering both arms when he moved. Can't approach me, I said roughly. There is no quiver in my voice. At all, against the rules. Now go away. He laughs gently. Those rules only apply to a doctor and his patients. You, my boy, were never my patient, were you? His gaze drifts for a moment, re-remembering my sister. He had been the psychologist, helping her with her dreams, helping her make sense of her Christmas lady. For weeks, Riza confided in him. He was the doctor. He would help her get better. So she told him about her Christmas lady, drew pictures, told stories, everything. Schizophrenia, he decided. And that was that. He told her that her monster didn't exist. Told Meredith that no one was going to try to break into a psych hospital to kill a 10-year-old patient. And Riza was just being paranoid. Bastard. Leave me alone. I turned from him, back to Meredith's grave. She's why I'm here, not him. Rather than leaving me alone, he moves next to her grave and salutes it with a flask nearly as battered as mine. Rest in peace, kiddo. You deserved better than this, you know. He takes a long swig, and my knuckles crack as I clench my fists. You don't get to apologize to her, you son of a bitch. Not now. I feel my breathing increase. Control. Need to control. He turns back to me, and I can see his eyes. Bloodshot. Doubt he's left that flask in years. No slur to his voice either. Used to it. How have you been, my boy? Leave me alone. He smiles sadly and doesn't leave. Sorry for that. Been following you, you know. At least reports of you. Heard reports of an old man saving some kids following that fire in Boston. hostage negotiation in Lamesa, down in Texas. Heard some unknown fugitive with a rifle took out the perpetrator from a distance the cops thought near impossible. Saved a little girl and boy. Dozens of reports like that. Always saving brothers and sisters. His voice drops, gentle. You know anything about that, my boy? Leave me alone. He chuckles at that and sounds near tears. Third time you've said that. 3 words in it. You're still talking in threes. I am not, I snap, and he shakes his head. You need help, son. I'm sure you're doing what you think is right. Hell, maybe need it. But you need help. How many years have you been doing this? Hell, how many decades? I glance at my hands, scars crisscrossing the dark skin, warring for space with entirely too many wrinkles. He may have a point. You're probably right, I allow. It doesn't matter. Won't endanger others. Whiskey-soaked gears turn behind his eyes as he runs through what I said. Yeah, thought so. A modern-day Galahad, seeking the Grail. Or are you a Don Quixote, tilting at windmills? Not that damned question again. He doesn't get it. Never gets it. Breathing faster again. Leave me alone, damn it. Doesn't matter which. Not the point. Never the point. What are you looking for, son? You know what. Riza told you. She is real. He has to know. He has to remember. Son, your sister was sick. His face floods with understanding, sympathy, compassion. He never fucking listens. I know how that feels, trust me. But this crusade of yours, son, you know this won't bring Riza back. She's there. My fist ends his sentence, knocking him to his knees. No one ever understands, I grind out. You think I don't fucking know that? My foot connects with his gut and I'm shouting. Need to calm, damn it. 3. It's important. Remember 3. Riza trusted you. She warned you about the Ripper. And you just... My foot connects again with each word. Wouldn't listen. Jonathan, wait. Let me help. Go fuck yourself, you arrogant prick. One final kick across his face knocks him out. Blood from his nose and a few teeth mix with the rain and mud. My hand flies into the duffel, yanking a handful of pages and throwing them on him. Dozens of drawings look up at me. A pale woman covered in red and green tattoos. Red blonde hair in a tight braid down to her legs. Slightly pointed ears. Green eyes. Riza's Christmas lady. And not a single one of the drawings done by her. Shania Mosier in Boston. James Wilson in Portland. Carol Westland in Tucson. Every one of them saw Riza's illusion. Her psychotic fucking break. And every one of them attacked. Breathe. She's real. You sit and hide and diagnose and kill. And she's real. And every damn time she appears, something hunts kids and you don't care. You can't give it olanzapine. It can't be real. But she is. And I'm going to find her and stop this. Breathe. Come on, breathe. Slow breathing. Ragged. Vision red. Nathan the Night's Ripper. In his stolen security outfit. Riza with that pistol trained on him. Missing. And his knife carving. 3 cuts. Breathe, damn it. These are facts. Breathe. Focus. Remember 3. Fact number 1. Riza's dead. Nathan executed her. Breathe. Fact number 2. Nathan wasn't alone. Others are hunting. Breathe. Steady now. Breathe. Fact number 3. God save Riza. I stand, stalking out of the graveyard as I whisper my oath. No more Rizas. Part 3. My cell's ringing shattered the night air, but I ignored it. Wasn't as important as this. I'm perched on the roof of an empty house. The owners were probably on vacation. Fridge was still mostly stocked though. Beats drive-through again. Through my scope, the family went about their nightly business. Older sis, reading a book on drug addiction. Meredith wrote it years ago. Good kid. Younger sister, watching cartoons and clearly singing along. Annoying. Dad was making dinner, trying not to look at the picture of his dead wife on the mantel. Still afraid to take it down, because that would make all this real. Been there. Hard decisions to make. 3 days have passed since the eulogy. They put her in the ground later that day. Summer burial. Quick and easy. Been watching them since then, keeping an eye out, preparing. 3 days worth of prep work. Important number. In the good book, the bad one, and damn near every other one to boot. Important things always happen in threes. At once, shit starts to happen, and I tighten my scarred hands over the grip of my rifle, settling the stock even more firmly in the crook of my shoulder. My fountain pen weighs heavily in my shirt pocket. God, don't let me need it. The TV starts smoking and shooting sparks across the room, making the youngest sister stop singing and start screaming. Barely have time to register that, and she's running. An older sis there, putting her body between her sister and the TV. As she does, the TV flies at them. My gut whispers as it sends a bullet flying into the TV, knocking it off course to shatter against the wall. The two waste no time in skedaddling. 1 bullet down. Good to know it's not just books you're good at, kiddo. Haul ass. I swing my rifle over towards the kitchen in time to catch Dad stuttering. Smoke rises from the picture of his wife. Tendrils wrapping around the table and cutlery. He manages to step back as everything not nailed down starts jumping around. Come on, Dad, I mutter. Clear my sights. His daughter screams, snapping back for a brief second. But a figure he recognizes all too well, forming out of the smoke, sends him back into catatonia. Even though I'm a block away, I can almost hear her raspy voice issuing from the smoke. Frank. It wasn't Meredith, regardless of what it looked like. Damnest thing about poltergeists. They ain't ghosts, per se, but they need a corpse to connect to. They tend to choose those that had been good people in real life. The more noble, the better. Meredith qualified, and if her letter was right, and Sarah was dreaming of the Christmas lady, the poltergeist almost had no choice but to attach to her. My next shot shatters the window an inch above Dad's left shoulder, tearing through what would be the figure's neck if she was flesh and blood. She wasn't, and the high-caliber round did nothing more than piss her off. Good. 2. Come on, bitch. The poltergeist reaches out again, finally spurring Dad into action. That, or he saw how close the second shot came to parting his oldest daughter's hair as she turned the corner into the kitchen. Kid sees the smoke, and even a moron like me can see she recognizes who it is. Doesn't faze her though. She grabs Dad's arm and nearly rips it out of the socket, pulling him and the ankle biter to safety. Christ above and below. I wish I had been that smart. The thing masquerading as Meredith screams, glass shattering and flying towards the kid. A third bullet slams through her spectral forehead, snapping her head around and bringing a hellish gaze to me, perched on my roof. All the windows in the nearest houses shatter as she screams again. I drop the rifle, keeping the pen gripped in my left hand and ducking to avoid the flying shards. 3 bullets didn't work. No choice left. The banshee howls down the neighborhood towards me, and I watch the bitch approach. You ain't Meredith? Release her body. Your first warning. She reaches me before the words finish leaving my mouth. A freight train disguised as a smoky fist crashes into my sternum, lifting me into the air and slamming me back into the roof. Ankle bust as I land. Wonderful. Your second warning. Let her go. And that is all for this evening. I really hope you enjoyed this very exciting story. And if you want to read more of his work, please check out the link below. Thank you so much for joining the session, and I'll see you next week. As always, I am the Gargoyle, your reader on the ledge.